only weigh about 8 ounces. Why not the same for human babies? This would take the pain out of childbearing. A woman would probably not look any larger the day she gave birth than the day of conception. Perhaps medical science will learn something from the bear. Sex and the UFO. It seems that sex is rearing its ugly head more and more in the flying saucer field, and the time has come for those of us who have been researchers in the field for over 30 years, covering all aspects, to speak out and clarify the situation. The space people, both men and women, have been blamed for something that is not of their own doing, and not just for the sake of sex itself, but when partaken of a plan that is bigger than all of us. They have also been blamed for astral sexual meddling. Countless reports come in now of Earth women being raped by space men, some voluntarily, of space women offering themselves to Earth men. Some writers have gone back to the time of the ancient so-called gods and the misinterpretation of the less evolved Earth people of their sexual activities at that time. It is not the purpose of this article to go back to the time when space people came to the ancients and mated as part of the universal plan to raise the quality of the breed and help some Earth people to graduate alive directly by spaceship to more advanced physical visible planets or by rebirth from which they had quote-unquote fallen. Through rebirth or visible planets, or by rebirth, from which they had fallen. Through rebirth or visible, or brought down directly by spaceship when falling out of harmony with the universal way of life on more advanced planets to start civilization on this one, and work their way once more back up to rejoin the universal family, a time now being reached. In the meantime, space people have quietly married into families and become parents for this reason, down through the centuries also. Only coming openly as now, from time to time, some Earth women claiming to be raped by spacemen are actual space women themselves, pretending to be Earth women. Some Earth men pretending to have relations with space women in ships, spacemen incognito living amongst us, to call our attention to the fact. They must also be used, according to my understanding, based on face-to-face meetings with the space people, in limited negative missions when we reach the period in some final lifetime on this planet when pre-atomic energy being needs all of our time and energies in its plan to help bring Earth people back into the universal family. As this civilization reaches its peak, and we learn that sex must be used only for pre-atomic energy being's purpose, also, although there is no universal law against enjoying it. In fact, as the end nears, we are lousy with space people everywhere we turn. You can't even trust your own mother these days. After all, among the ancients, outstanding people like Hercules, Plato, Socrates were human divine. Divine being a word, however, the space people do not want used in connection with themselves, since they believe that all is God in various stages of evolutionary atomic being returning its partly pronounced self in as the known, back to its remainder in as the unknowable. I have had saucer sightings, but they dimmed by importance when I became aware of the space people amongst us trying to help us, to help ourselves. This all comes to a climax rapidly. If we watch the weather and other planetary developments, the sunspot acceleration, the instability of our money system, which will go also, along with other changes, it does not exist on other planets. Space people have said, keeping God from helping us as it would, especially as disasters increase on the planet, difficulties in governments, and general worldwide upheaval. You will know how close the planetary changeover is. If you are so busy telling everyone about the more advanced, physical, visible space people coming to help us in their physical ships, you'll find yourself at the right place. That is the only advice that one can give. There will be much that will try to come into your mind that will try to convince you otherwise, but release all to pre-being. You want to be only where God wants you to be, don't you? Or where it knows you qualify to be, spiritually. And that is when you will meet space people, face to face. Don't settle for anything else, because they are trying to do the same thing, since so many Earth people who have the understanding to inform the public as the planetary sunspot peak nears are not doing so. In the radio message that came to me from a spaceman in September 1954, he said, "Time is short." But now, short days, weeks, months, overnight, with the acceleration of the sunspots toward a peak, to settle down afterwards to normal cycles, if one can go by past performances, the atmosphere in which we are suspended will be affected, and all things go to extremes, including sex, to a point of distortion, including perversion, rape, even repulsion for some. After it is all over and we emerge at a higher state of atomic evolutionary mental spiritual stages, perhaps we'll fall into the universal sexual pattern by which the space people live, rather than according to Earthman's will as through the past and present. On the other planets, according to my understanding, the mating is the marriage and comes about because of the woman's desire period that is in line with nature. And therefore, no planet is ever overpopulated. Aggressive women were frowned upon by society and insecure males on this planet in the past. No contraceptives are ever used, and at a higher spiritual state of physical evolution, one desires to become impregnated during intercourse as well. There is no money system, as I said, to make having large families a burden, nor anyone who practices celibacy, unless part of God's plan for a reason, not the individuals or religion, causing others to bear their children, to whom they may owe rebirth for some reason. And sex, at the higher spiritual physical state, when the electricity can really flow with complete harmony, with all of the atomic being also present, it is really out of this world, as a woman said about her orgy with a spaceman named Orthon. Any astral lovers are undesirable and can take over one's mind and body in time, as psychic history can testify, be it a thought form left by someone else in the past, taking any identity, or one's own subhuman infrared body-mind self. See my book, Living Electronics, when it is again published. The atmosphere filled with negative black infrared thought forms in the shape of the people who thought them. Positive thought forms, radiant and very few. It goes without saying. We can only suggest that you keep our advice based on experience in mind, as unprecedented developments might occur in your life in the days to come.
Donna Koski, Dr. Donna,